Hello and welcome to the Jamie and Stephen Show. Let's talk movies, music and magic. And this week we're talking about The Lion King.
Yeah.
Hi Jamie.
Hello.
Hello.
We have a guest again.
We do have a guest.
So excited.
Yes. Shout, do you want to introduce who she is?
Yes, so our guest this week, everybody who's listening, is a fellow cast member from back in the day. Jess! We've spoken about her loads.
Yes.
She's been mentioned, I think, in nearly every episode. And she's finally here. Hi, Jess!
Hi, yay, I'm here.
So we invited you on today because obviously we're well aware of... It is your favourite, isn't it? It's your most favourite.
It is, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Even now, like since all the others that have come.
No, absolutely. The Lion King is still my all-time favourite film, and as a 36-year-old film student back in the day, I'm very proud to say that The Lion King is still my favourite movie.
Oh, and wasn't it Simba that was on your name tag?
Yes, Simba was on my name tag at the Disney store. He's also my first tattoo that I got as well.
Oh. What is it? Is it like a cartoon sketch or is it the Rafiki's?
It's how Rafiki draws him on the tree before he gets his mane. So it's just like baby Simba drawn on the tree.
Right, so The Lion King, released in 1994. It is, at the time that we're recording it, it celebrated 30 years earlier this year. That makes me feel so old.
Oh, don't. So, at the time we were recording it again yesterday, Monsters Inc. was 21 years old.
Oh my god.
No, sorry, 24. 21? 24. Either way, a long time ago.
Yeah, 21 would be about, 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Monsters Inc. is older. Isn't that weird?
Well, to me, it just, because it was released the same time, similar time as like Atlantis, Stitch, and all of those.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just doesn't feel that long ago.
I know. But yeah, 30 years. And when we were in Disneyland Paris, I don't know if it was... did you go and see the Lion King show when you were there?
No, it stopped.
Oh, did it stop?
Yeah.
So when we went in the summer, we went to see it, and they had projections with 30, and the 0 was the Simba that Jess's tattoo is. So yeah, they had that like on the curtains and that. But yes, 30 years. Right, IMDb synopsis.
Yes.
It is a good one actually. Lion Prince Simba and his father are targeted by his bitter uncle, who wants to ascend the throne himself.
That is the story. That's,
Yeah, in a
sometimes
nutshell.
they've been really off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
What's your synopsis?
I actually really struggled with this one.
Oh.
Because I obviously know the story and stuff, and I do try and make them funny and down to earth kind of thing, but I did struggle.
Oh.
However,
Okay.
after a trusted relative tricks Simba, he meets two hippies who, quotation mark, eat bugs, rhymes with does drugs.
Okay.
Then a hot girl lion persuades him to go home by having sex with him.
I don't think they have sex.
Oh, they do.
Stephen.
The way that lion
Oh, really?
looks up at her.
Okay.
Honestly, that is
To be fair, her eyes, they go turquoise.
She is like...
And there's like a sparkle.
She is like Mount This.
I'm ready for you, Simba.
Yeah. You are the Lion King.
Right, it's an hour and 28 minutes. So we're at that hour and a half point now.
Yeah.
And IMDb rating is 8.5.
Is that the highest we've
I
had?
think it is. I'm going to go back on my notes quickly, but I think it's higher than Beauty and the Beast.
Blasphemy.
I know. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was 8. So, yeah, 8.5.
Who is marking it below 8?
I know.
Like, who is doing that?
Yeah.
What people are out there going, oh, the Lion King, it's a 4.
Yeah.
Like,
I
yeah.
know.
Anyway, carry on.
That's okay.
My favourite.
Directors, Roger Allers and Rob Menkoff. And we've spoken about these two before. So Roger Allers came from Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaids, and Aladdin. So basically, the names that we're going to, and we've mentioned them, you're going to hear them a lot. because most of these names
It's
are
the same.
in this
Yeah.
decade. Oops. Yeah, Rob Menkoff, he was an executive producer on Stuart Little 2, Haunted Mansion, the Eddie Murphy film,
Yes, yeah.
and he directed Mr. Peabody and Sherman, which actually I really like.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's good. You'll have to. That is a good one.
Oh, you're telling me to watch a film.
I know that's outside
You're
of
lucky.
Disney.
You're lucky I've watched these.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's DreamWorks that did it.
Oh, there's a load of DreamWorks.
So yeah, but it is good, and it's the guy that plays Phil Dunphy is
yeah.
Mr. Peabody.
Yeah. So I can go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
Of The Lion King. Show you a bit of how it came about.
Yeah. Well, before you start, I'm just gonna let the listeners know. There's 29 people credited on IMDb as
Yes.
writers.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you explain,
see.
you'll know why.
Originally, 1988.
Mm-hmm.
So pictures, do a Golden Girls. Picture it. Not Sicily, but it was Europe.
Yeah.
Katzenberg, your name, Roy E. Disney and Peter Schneider were in Europe. They were on a plane and they were doing the promo for Oliver and Company.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time period where we are. It's Oliver and Company. And the three of them got talking about what kind of films they want to make, and the topic came up of we should make a film about Africa. And Katzenberg basically was like, yes, that is exactly what we're doing. And basically from that point on, they were making a film about Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Schumacher, who had just finished The Rescuers Down Under, the work on that, he decided that he was going to attach himself to this Lion Africa project. He would be known elsewhere he did Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lilo and Stitch, Tarzan, Mulan, Nightmare Before Christmas, and he was also the executive producer on the live action Lion King,
Oh, okay.
making him one of the very few people who worked on
Both.
As the story was being developed. Katzenberg added a lot of personal elements in there. So he used to be a politician, and it was about having great sadness, that people going behind your back, lying, and stuff like that. In November of 1988, Thomas M. Dish, who wrote The Brave Little Toaster, he did a treatment, and it was called, and I do apologise if I've said the words wrong, King of the Kalahari. So King of the Kalahari was also worked on by Linda Wolverson, who we knew
I've got her written down. Yeah.
we knew from Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
She also did Mulan and Maleficent. She also, I believe, did the live action Alice in Wonderland with Tim Burton.
Oh, okay.
That was between 1988 and 1989, so she was working on it for a year. By that time, the era of Disney that we're in, Little Mermaid's just been released. We've also got the time where the year after is when Rescuers Down Under comes out. So that's the time that we are in. Then George Scribner, who had just been the director on Oliver and Company, was assigned director. He wanted to produce a naturalistic film, so very documentary type. There are certain scenes where, in the film, where they have, like, where it focuses on a bug, and then there's something in the background, and that background comes into focus, and the bug goes out of focus. Those kind of things were done because he wanted it to look like a nature documentary.
So, like at the beginning, when you see the ants scanning along the tree branch, and then the background's blurred, but then it goes into the back, and you're seeing the animals making their way to Pride Rock.
Ironically, you bring up the ants because they're not actually native to Africa.
Oh, okay.
So, all the other animals are,
but the ants.
Apart from the ants. And where it's based, which is assumed to be North Africa, because where they did the wreckers and things, meerkats don't exist. They exist in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
So, but still, it's not.
Well, it's in the magical land of make believe.
Yeah.
In 1991, Scribner was joined by Roger Ellis, you've mentioned, who did the story for Beauty and the Beast, and also Brenda Chapman.
Yeah, I've got her written down as well.
Who also worked on The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Brave.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
Alice, Scribner, Don Hahn, Chapman, Chris Saunders, all visited Hell's Gate National Park in Kenya. And 6 months into it, Scribner left the project because everyone else wanted to create a musical, whereas he wanted realistic. At that point, Rob Menkoff, who you mentioned,
he's
all of the
the
things
director
that he had done, he basically replaced him, and Rob Hahn was also formally moved over. Just for the benefit of anyone who's not listened to any previous podcasts at the minute, he worked on Fox and the Hound, Roger Rabbit, There's Nightmare Before Christmas. He also worked on Maleficent, Beauty and the Beast, Basil the Great Mouse Detective, and then would go on to work in Flubber and The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
And basically, Don Hahn basically wanted to rework the entire script. So all of those names that I have currently mentioned are credited as writers. This is 1991, which was also the year, cue Jamie, that Tim Rice was hired.
Oh yeah.
You're here too.
Yes. So he just come off from doing Jess with Bjorn and Beckett from ABBA.
Oh,
And
I've never
he
heard
was
of the film Jess.
You'll know the song.
Oh god, Jess, this
oh.
is where she sings.
No, I'm just trying to think, because it's Bonnie Tyler that sings it.
So
You know wasn't it good? Oh, so good. Wasn't
That's
it
not Bonnie
fine?
Tyler. That's
Wasn't
Elaine
Yeah, it's
Stritch.
them two singing together. It's a duet.
And Barbara Dixon, and Elaine Stritch.
Elaine Page.
Elaine Page.
Elaine
that's
Page.
it, Elaine
Oh,
Stritch,
I thought Bonnie
someone
Tyler
else.
did it. But anyway,
No.
yeah, it's that.
I told you she was going to sing.
Yeah,
Sounds
sorry.
very good.
So they done that, and and he'd gone to them and
Thanks
said,
for making me laugh, Jess. Spilling my tea in the background. Carry on. Carry on.
obviously Disney were like, oh my god, would they be willing to do it? This would be, but ultimately they decided it wasn't for them, and they were committed to doing something else. They were trying to do their own opera, which I believe might have been Mamma Mia. I think they'd started that, or it could have been something else. I don't know. I know they've done a few things to do musicals. So yeah, and then I can't remember who mentioned to get Elton in, but when I do the music facts, I might have got it written down. But no, Tim Rice, he's brought in, and he's very much involved.
Yes.
With the storyboarding.
So again, another writer.
Yes.
So, after that, although it becomes not plain sailing, but pretty much all kind of settled at this point, in 1992, Jonathan Roberts and Irene Mecchi brought on as additional writers. They actually write a lot of the Timon and Pumbaa as comedy characters, and they kind of look at the more emotional aspects.
Yeah.
So certain points of the film, like the death of Mufasa, that's there. But it's about how Simba reacts to that in the future, and I think actually the scene where Pumbaa and they're all looking up at the stars, and it's Pumbaa who actually tells you what stars, big balls of gas in the sky. It's meant to be that out of all of them, he's the cleverest.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of, so I don't know if he was responsible for that line, but it's that kind of thing that they came in. As I said, after that, it is kind of straightforward that we're producing the film, except for an earthquake.
Oh yeah.
which meant that all of the artists had to do their work from home
Yeah.
for a few months.
Yeah.
Which,
I think that was towards the end.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1994 was the
Yeah.
same year that it
Yeah.
came out. So yeah, that's how or why it got made, shall we say.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, obviously, everyone knows now the influences that they had that are clearly obvious in the story. Like,
so Hamlet.
yeah.
Scar is very much based on the characters from Macbeth.
Yeah.
But a lot of the writers, although it depends on, so some writers say that they weren't influenced by it, some writers say that they were. What's interesting is one of the original stories was actually, and we'll go into it more when we go into like the cast and the characters, the original story was lions versus baboons.
Yeah.
And it was the two factions, and actually it would have been a little bit more of a Romeo and Juliet rather than Hamlet.
Yeah.
But Shakespeare is definitely
Oh, yeah.
part of this.
And even biblical as well. I read
Yeah,
that.
Moses.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not an expert
No.
on religious stories, and
But I did read
Yeah.
that was an influence.
yes.
So yes. And there's also the I didn't write it down, but there's a cartoon series that was made in the 60s.
In Japan.
Yeah.
That were-
And like even Matthew Broderick thought that Disney was just doing their version of that. But no. I read into that and I didn't think the story was the same.
No, I think it's the look of it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yes.
But yes.
I did write down that according to the this was on IMDb, Writers Guild of America officially awarded the screenplay credits to Irene, Jonathan, and Linda.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're the three that have the main. And then out of the 29, I wrote down a couple, like Bernie Mattinson is credited as having something to do with the story. And you mentioned Chris Sanders, Gary Truesdale.
Okay.
He goes on to direct Hunchback. He's credited. Joe Ranft, who goes on to write Toy Story.
Yes.
Kirk Wise as well. We've mentioned him before. And yeah, and then obviously I wrote down Brenda Chapman. But the rest I didn't really recognise but
I think sometimes with writers, so one of the people, Nathan Lane.
yeah, the actor.
Was his,
Timon.
He ad-libbed some of the lines.
Yeah.
So it might have been that kind of thing where
Maybe.
certain storylines. But
at least they get a credit.
Yeah.
So the minute they mention something, albeit it could be a line or it could be a change of a scene, they clearly get.
I always get his name wrong. Is it Andreas Diaz?
Yeah, Andreas Deja.
He went on record to say that basically up until the final points that scenes were changing,
Yeah.
they were having to reanimate things. So it was constantly being adapted.
Yeah. Right, cast.
Yes.
So, Simba.
Yes.
Right, I've wrote down 3.
Go on then.
Okay. No, 4, sorry. I've got 4. So we've got
Just stealing my facts now.
the Matthew Broderick,
Mhm.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So Matthew Broderick's adult Simba.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas is young Simba.
Yep.
Then we've got Jason Weaver is the young Simba singing voice, and Joseph Williams is the adult singing voice.
Yeah. Starting with Matthew Broderick, he was considered for the roles of Chicken Little in Chicken Little.
Okay.
I won't do that every time. Buzz Lightyear, Flick, Bug's Life, and Mike Wazowski.
Oh my god.
Away from The Lion King,
Uh-huh.
fans may know him as Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Godzilla in the 1990s, Godzilla, and Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who you said the young voice. He played someone called Randy in Home Improvement.
Yeah, he was the middle
He was-
brother. Yeah.
Yeah. There is an episode set around Halloween where two trick-or-treaters come to the door, one dressed as Buzz Lightyear and the other one dressed as Simba.
Uh-huh.
And he gives either 1 or 2 bits of candy to Buzz Lightyear and then gives the rest of it to Simba.
Yeah, because Tim Allen plays the dad
Because-
who's Buzz. Yeah.
Elsewhere, you may know him from I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Yeah, it keeps coming up with Disney Plus, but
Yeah.
it's one of those Christmas movies I'm like, am I really
Uh,
wanting to waste my
It may
hour
go
and a
in
half?
the background when I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
He was in Tom and Hook,
Oh,
the
yeah.
1990s film, and he's also the child in Man of the House with
Yeah.
Chevy Chase,
Yeah.
which I tried to watch the other day and broke my Disney Plus. We had to reset it and everything. Yeah, so don't like that film. Jason Weaver. Do you know what? I started writing facts like this because I found it really like not spooky, but like, oh wow. But then I stopped. But a lot of cast members actually share birthdays with each other in this film.
Oh, okay.
But I only wrote one down, so I
Okay.
do apologise. But Jason Weaver shares his birthday with J.D. McCrary, who voices the young Simba in the live action.
Oh.
I didn't get anything with Joseph Williams.
No, it just was a very basic,
Yeah.
like he is involved in music and yeah.
We all know that Simba in Swahili means
Lion?
lion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a podcast, Jess. You can't just
Yeah.
nod.
Yeah.
There's no
Yes.
cameras. His adult mane, which I'm starting to grow myself, was based on John Bon Jovi.
Oh.
Which other people considered for the role include Brock Pierce, who I don't know who
Don't
that was, but I do know Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood
Oh, okay. Oh, for young Simba.
for young Simba.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So yes, that's my kind of like Simba, Matthew Broderick,
Okay.
and all
Mufasa?
Mufasa.
I mean, it's James Earl Jones. I think if you don't know who that is. And sadly, he has passed very
Very
recently. Very recently. 93 was. And he'd been ill for a while, which I wasn't aware of. He suffered with diabetes. That's not what he died of, but
No, yeah.
he has been ill for a while. But yeah, Shakespeare trained, theatre trained. I know him from Conan, Coming to America,
Yes.
Star Wars,
Yes.
Yeah.
to name but a few. He's even done cameos in Big Bang
Will and Grace.
and Will and Grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other people considered for the role include Liam Neeson and Sean Connery.
Yeah. Now I read that.
Sean
I
Connery
don't-
doesn't work for me, if I'm honest.
Liam Neeson might, but I don't know. I just can't imagine it being anybody else.
The voice, the reason why he was hired was his voice is powerful.
Oh, very.
And it is.
And it's like you know who that is.
Yeah, like Mufasa was meant to have a song called Mighty King of the Wild. However, although James L. Jones can sing, I believe baritone, is that obviously the lowest. Unfortunately the song it wasn't in the same key as what he can sing. So they hired someone called Ken Page, who tried but couldn't mimic James L. Jones'
No.
voice. Ken Page, do we recognise the name?
No.
No.
Oogie Boogie.
Oh,
Wow.
yes. He's just passed as well.
Yeah. So if you think of the Oogie Boogie song that he
Yeah.
sings, that's...
I can see why.
Yep.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he's still a little bit too high.
And to link it into other films, roars, some of the roaring elements, background noises for Mufasa are reused from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah, I did read that. Yeah. Scar.
Scar, I had to limit myself with facts for Scar.
Yeah, I bet.
because this is like,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I love Jeremy Irons.
So Jeremy Irons, I thought everyone's going to know where he's from. No?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
did, yeah.
Oh, Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Die Hard 3
Um,
with a Vengeance. I also wrote down Lolita and House of Gucci is probably one of the most recent. Yeah.
I mean, we might not remember this, but does anyone know of a program called Play School?
No.
Very similar to Play Days.
Oh, I think it's Play. Oh, is it the bus?
That's Play Days.
Okay.
So
then
Play
no.
School came before this,
Oh.
and Jeremy Irons go on YouTube
Okay.
because he is singing songs.
Amazing.
Oh my
he's
God.
On there. Very, very handsome young man.
Oh yeah.
Very, very handsome. But yes, he was in Play School. But yeah, honestly, go on that. Press pause. Go online.
I don't know what it is. I think it's the high cheekbones.
I couldn't tell you. It just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much
Something about it's very like yeah. It's like Sam Elliott. Yeah, do you know who
I don't
Sam
know who
Elliott
that
is?
That. He
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage. No.
No, sorry.
So moving on.
Okay.
Anastasia,
Well, anyway, yeah.
actually chose to work on The Lion King and specifically Scar because he loved the Jungle Book and loved the animation on Shere Khan, especially as the villain. And obviously, when you look at Shere Khan and you look at Scar and you look at similarities between the two,
And yet,
Yeah.
Scar is drawn by Andreas Deha.
yeah,
And he said that he specifically made sure he did not go and watch or look at anything from the archives from Jungle Book because he didn't want to be influenced.
well, he clearly was.
I mean, he did say that obviously he
Yeah.
tries to put Jeremy Irons into the character from the footage.
But again, it's Shere Khan.
I don't know, I didn't really see.
I did when I read this. I was like, I think it's the chin.
Okay.
I think it is very
But
much.
Shere Khan's chin is square.
I know, and it's because they're different animals. But then
Hey, if you see it, then
I saw it, but
okay.
You know that.
But I suppose maybe working for that company.
Yeah, I mean,
You
you're
can't
gonna be
help-
influenced by those.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand if he was like, oh, I don't want to be influenced by that Japanese cartoon that I've seen. But the Jungle Book most people have seen.
I know, yeah, true.
Scar was also going to have another song called Thanks to Me.
Oh.
And it was going to be after he killed Mufasa.
Oh.
So, basically, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, don't forget the Sir, and Alan Rickman were all considered. Now, we spoke about Patrick Stewart before.
Yeah,
In The Little Mermaid.
in The Little Mermaid, because he was going to be Triton.
And basically, he turns down multiple roles throughout the Renaissance.
But it's because of his tie with Star Trek.
The Next Generation.
Yeah.
So, he was considered to be Scar, basically. However, he is not the only person to voice Scar in the film.
Yeah, no.
It's Winnie the Pooh, well, not himself,
No.
but Jim Cummins.
Yeah.
There was a rumour that Jeremy Irons sang Be Prepared, and there's a line which you're going to say.
Yeah, you won't get a sniff without me! It's that line.
And apparently...
Yeah, he pulled his...
Jim Cummins says no, he sang it all. Originally, Scar was meant to be a baboon, like you said.
Uh-huh.
He was the lead of the baboons.
Uh-huh.
And in an earlier draft as well, Scar decided that to be, and this is where I think a little bit more of like the Shakespearean, especially around the Henry films and the Henry plays, and things come into it. Scar basically believed that a great ruler needs basically a great queen, and was going to ask Nala, and Nala refused, and she was then banished from the Pride Lands, in which she then finds Simba, but in the reworked one.
Yeah, I mean, they said that it was too predatory for a kids' film, but apparently they do put that in the musical.
Yeah, and in the film, he makes a pass at Sarabi.
Yeah.
Which I think makes more sense than Nala.
Yeah, Sarabi makes more sense.
I mean, the thing with Nala is, I mean, again, it depends what draft you're looking for and things like that, but Sarabi was meant to have two sisters, one of which was Nala's mum.
Right, okay.
Which would make Simba and Nala cousins.
I know. Hey, supposedly they could be half sister and brother because technically in a real savannah, Mufasa would be the dad to all the cubs.
Big Daddy Lion.
But we'll pretend that they're not.
Also in earlier, and this is where I had to limit myself, so I've got two more facts, but basically, so the actual death of Scar was inspired by an original planned death for Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. So his original death was where he'd be attacked by wolves and everything, and obviously in this one he was attacked by hyenas.
Yeah.
However, in an earlier draft, and this was considered too dark for a children's film, Scar was to kill, again these are air quotes, kill Simba at the end by throwing him off Pride Rock. However, Simba would survive. Scar would be too engrossed by his victory and laughing that he would be burnt alive. Disney! Yeah, considered too dark for a kids' film.
Yeah. Zazu. Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
He is...
Love Actually.
Blackadder.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Four Brothers of Funeral.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, it's Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
He's a national treasure for us in the UK. Wasn't the first to be auditioned or considered. Nathan Lane auditioned, who went on to play Timon. And it was actually during the interview stage for Zazu that he got the part of Timon, but I'll go on that when we get to that. Also considered for the role was Simon Callow, John Cleese, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, Terry...
It's the Monty Python again.
Monty Python again, and Patrick Stewart. He turned down two roles. I mean, that's all I had with Zazu, actually. I think
okay.
Rowan Atkin kind of speaks for himself,
yeah.
to be fair.
Rafiki.
Do you want to say the name?
Well, Gilleen or Gilam.
Yeah, I
Gilum?
thought it was Giloom.
Giloom. Yeah.
Anyway, Robert Giloom.
Yeah.
He originally was considered to play a character called Luke in The Rescuers, who is the drunk mouse at the bayou, who's always got the thing. But people will know him from First Kid, Spy Hard. He is also Dr. I didn't write it down, but from the Proud Family.
Oh, right, okay.
Have you seen that? And he's also Mr. Thicknose from the Land Before Time franchise.
Yeah. He's also in Big Fish, Moesha, Sports Night, and Fresh Prince.
Rafiki means friend in Swahili. And only Rafiki says his name during the film.
Yeah.
Everyone else calls him that monkey or baboon.
Yeah. Timon.
Timon. I feel like I'm just talking now.
So yeah, Nathan Lane.
So Nathan Lane and his friend Ernie Sabella.
Yeah, who plays Pumbaa. We'll do them together then.
Yeah, we can do, so they auditioned, Nathan Lane was auditioning for Zazu, but they both auditioned for Hyenas.
Yeah. And
basically they auditioned together, and they were so funny as a double act that they gave them the parts of Timon and Pumbaa. They're the only cast members of this film to record their lines together.
Yeah.
so everyone else was separate. Which I don't get why they would be separate. I know there's timing and stuff, but surely if you want people to have good chemistry...
I know, because I
in the
read
same room.
and I watched like the documentary that's on Disney Plus, and yeah, like Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane never met when recorded. They met in the hallway one day, and yet they go on to do producers together
Oh, I mean,
in the film and on stage. Or no,
They
on
definitely
stage.
did the film.
Yeah,
Definitely both in the
and
film.
then the stage version.
Yeah. I think it's that film that Ernie Sabella was cut from.
Oh, okay.
So, but they did almost, they worked together loads. So
Yeah.
A bit about Timon was in the song Hakuna Matata. He was it meant to be his background, not Pumbaa's, but they couldn't make it work, so they changed it to Pumbaa's background.
It's funnier as Pumbaa's.
Yeah. We should give him an award. Pumbaa is the first Disney character to fart in a Disney film. Anyone who's just heard a noise wasn't any of us farting, it was actually my cat knocking something off the table. Because heaven forbid we do a podcast without the cat getting involved.
I don't know what he's knocked over.
Oh, it could be anything. The line in the film, "What do you want me to do? Dress in drag and do the hula," was ad-libbed by Nathan Lane. And the two of them, Timon and Pumbaa, were meant to sing the entire song of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," and it was Elton John that vetoed
You're stealing my facts, Stephen.
Right then, I'll move on. In the original concept then, Timon and Pumbaa were meant to be children from the Pride Lands, so they would have been friends of Simba and Nala. And Ernie Sabella said that the voice was partly inspired by Michael V. Gazzo in The Godfather, which I've never seen, so I can't tell you what that's
It's
about.
nothing like...
Oh, it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that.
Well, he did a good job then.
Okay.
And originally...
Oh, no, actually, now I know the character. Yeah, it is a little bit.
Well, Tim Rice, when he wrote the lyrics for Hakuna Matata, was inspired by Rick Mayall and Aid Edmondson in the TV sitcom Bottom.
Didn't he ask Rick Mayall?
And then asked them if they would like to, and I don't know if they said no, but they were considered. They fished.
Yeah, I think he said, because he knew him, he was a friend, and he said, so why don't you, I'm doing this Disney film, why don't you see if they'll give you a part? And no, they didn't like him. But there isn't a part that he could have done.
Not in this film.
No.
No, and
because again, he has such a distinctive voice, and he has done other voice work, a bit like David Jason. I know, yeah, it's like David Jason.
Yeah.
You know
his voice.
Yeah. Nala.
So I'll just add Nala. It means gift in Swahili.
Oh, okay. So she's Simba's gift.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a bit sexist.
Yeah, again.
She's on her back with them eyes. She's given a gift.
No,
she
like
wants Simba's gift. That's
like
what she
Simba.
wants.
She's got her speaking voices and then her singing voices. Yeah, so we've got Moira Kelly, who's adult Nala. Most people know her as Karen from One Tree Hill. She's also Cutting Edge, which is an ice skating sports film in the 90s, and West Wing. She
was also in the 90s film Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, okay.
There's Chaplin.
And young Nala is Nikita Callum Harris, who was in Perry Mason and recently Timeless, the new Timeless series. Yeah, she went and studied film, so I think she's more about maybe like lots of things, not just acting. And the singing, Laura Williams and Sally Dworsky.
So Sally Dworsky won an award for, not only did they win an award in this for Can You Feel the Love Tonight, but they also won an award when she did a song with, and I've never seen it, but Michelle Pfeiffer for The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is the DreamWorks. It's DreamWorks' first
I've
animated
never
film.
seen
Oh, it's
it.
brilliant.
Never
The
seen
music is so good. Shenzi, Ed, and Banzai.
Yes.
So the three hyenas. Whoopi Goldberg, Jim Cummings, and Cheech Marine.
So Jim Cummins, we mentioned, obviously did the singing voice for Scar.
Yeah. Well, he finishes the song, doesn't he?
No, he does the whole thing.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does it sound like him?
So
Sounds like Jeremy Irons.
go back.
Okay.
Listen to the podcast again. And then come back to now.
Okay.
Also, it's kind of taken over the voices of.
That's a good impression then.
Yes.
I mean, I know he's very talented.
Yeah. He's done Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
Pete.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. Banzai. Cheech Marin.
Yeah.
Who we know is Tito.
Tito.
From Oliver and Company. Also, hey Ramon from Cars.
Yeah.
He's also the corrections officer, which I don't recognise the character, but I did when I saw a picture in Coco.
Oh, okay.
So, when you next watch Coco,
I only watched it the other day, so
one of the skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
Was also in Ghostbusters 2, Married with Children and Spy Kids. And Shenzi, Whoopi Goldberg, as you said, was also Stretch in Toy Story 3, which is this octopus thing.
Yes.
We know as the lead in Sister Act 1 and 2.
Yeah, Ghost.
And
Jumpin' Jack.
Eleanor of Avalor, she
Oh,
is
did
an
she do?
ongoing voice in
okay.
that. She presents The View, and I wrote this one down because I thought it would please Jess. Voiced Ursula in Descendants 2.
Yes.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
And the last one I've got is Sarabi,
Yes.
because she's played by Madge Sinclair, who also plays the Queen alongside James Earl Jones's King character in Coming to America. But The Lion King was her last role.
She died, a
Yeah.
year later.
She had battled with leukemia for 13 years. Apparently I read like her biography, so she was from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
She married and had children like really young. So I'm assuming she must have been like 17. She had 2 boys. And after obviously years of doing like being a housewife, she decided, no, this isn't what I want to do. And she left for America and to pursue her acting career. So I don't know what happened to her family, but yeah. She won the award for Roots. Or nominated, I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, she was either nominated or she won the award. Golden Globe, I think it was, or no, Emmy it would have been, for her role in Roots.
And the other fact that I got as well was, and I just found it funny, because obviously Patrick Stewart, she was in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, was she? So she was allowed to do
Yeah,
the
she
role,
could do
but
the
Patrick
role.
wasn't.
No.
Oh, they had a tight leash on him.
No. I mean, that's all my cast facts. There are other people who did background work. So Frank Weller, who we've known has done background work for a lot of characters, but is the voice of Scooby-Doo and Fred in Scooby-Doo, and continues to be.
Yeah, I've got it written down that he provides all the line roars. None of the line roars in the film is from real lions. And it was because they wanted each one to have their own individual sound. So every roar you hear in the film is by Frank Welker. Right, okay, so let's go through the songs. So starting with
God, they're both going to sing.
The Circle of Life.
Do you want to
Yeah.
have a go?
And it moves us all. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna, because obviously they're all written by different
Yeah.
Like, but majority of them, it's Elton and Tim. So Elton does the music, Tim does the lyrics for the songs. However, and I completely forgot about this until I started doing the facts. Hans Zimmer, who's probably, I'd say, the second greatest movie score composer to with John Williams being number one. He does the score to Lion King. So he's also credited, obviously, for the songs as well, because it's his job to put them into the film as the film's playing. But the songs on their own, as in singles, it's Elton John and Tim Rice. So it's just so I don't have to go through every single one. Right. Nats Ingawama is Label M and Hans Zimmer. So
What the hell is Natsin?
Nats Ingawama. So it's I don't know the words, but it's that.
That's a
So,
circular line.
Yeah, but it's separate.
Not in my life.
So, and basically Hans Zimmer wrote like an extended version of The Circle of Life
Okay.
as this opening song. And he had already worked with Lee Boehm. So he brought him in and he says, right, I'm going to play this. Just throw words, start singing, see what comes to you. And so, yeah, he came up with the chant. Now, it is translated to, like, I am the lion,
It's there's a lion. Oh, look, there's a lion.
or something, yeah. And then there's something about this is my country, or...
Oh, I don't know. Anymore.
Yeah,
I
it
know
goes
it's
on.
There's a Lion.
And so, yeah, so he helps him do all the African... or the Swahili and like all of that that you can hear in the background.
Okay.
So because they wrote what's it called? He Lives in You as well. You know the that you hear in the background. That's him as well. So all of those. So that's Lee Boehm and Hans Zimmer. Whereas Your Circle of Life, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Be Prepared, Hakuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Morning Report is Elton and Tim.
The Sarabi also had a song called The Lion in the Moon.
Oh, okay. You just throw that in there.
Yeah,
Okay, you remembered that.
I remembered that
Okay.
one.
Yeah. The Lion Sleeps Tonight is also credited. Yeah, so that's credited on as part of the music and soundtrack to this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to get into it because it's a huge thing, but I highly, highly, highly recommend people to watch the documentary about this song. I think it's on Netflix and it is called The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Okay.
Right? And short version is a white South African man who wrote for Rolling Stone magazine went on a bit of an investigation to the real writer and origin of that song. And it turns out that it was written in like the 1930s by a South African singer. And in those days, obviously, you know, you could just, because obviously music wasn't what it is now. You could go and record your song and you know you get it on the vinyl and it it might sell or whatnot, and that's what had happened. And then years later somebody else got
I think it was the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, and then like an American guy took it, turned it into something, and then somebody else took it, they turned it into... There's been so many people that's done. Obviously, then there's the 80s version.
Tight Fit.
Yeah, which we would have known as a kid. But...
I had their album.
Oh God, Stephen. Well, it wasn't their song.
No.
So anyway, so this guy goes on, so he finds out like the origin and the family. And obviously he goes on this mission of the fact that this family has never earned any money from their father's song.
Yeah.
And Disney is sued.
Oh.
But you must watch the documentary because it is so fascinating. It's so sad. And especially because it's so current now, because we're constantly hearing, Ed Sheeran's being sued for plagiarism, Taylor Swift's being sued for, we know of Pharrell Williams been sued, for it being similar or basically copying and not crediting the right people. So it's still it's still happening now. But yeah, so unfortunately Disney chose to use that song, which is annoying because now I've watched the documentary. It is.
Yeah, I mean it's
because it's really unfair what's happened. But anyway, so yeah, listeners, if you've got Netflix, watch the Lion Sleeps Tonight documentary. Yeah, right. Music facts. Yeah, Hans Zimmer originally hesitated about coming in and being involved because he'd never done what he would call a children's cartoon film. But eventually he joined the production after warming up to the story, because it reminded him of his respective relationships with his father, who had passed when he was younger, and his daughter. And again, because I watched the documentary about the making, he says in there, he did struggle when he chose to take on the project. All these demons came out and things that he hadn't faced, he just sort of put to the back of his mind and, suppressed. But when making this, those feelings that he hadn't sort of,
dealt with.
Yeah, he brought them out, and it helped him deal with it in the end. And he said that it's one of his greatest experiences in his career. So the opening of the film, originally it was going to have dialogue. It was going to be long-winded dialogue.
No.
But when Hans Zimmer got hold of The Circle of Life from Elton and Tim, and he had his play about, and he wrote this, but he said that he wrote it so long, so there was enough to cut in between all the dialogue. His intention was not to have this great grand opening. But when Rob and Roger and, anyone else, at the time, whether it was Han or, when they heard his, what he'd written, they were so impressed, and they were like, oh no, we have to do an opening just with the music.
Good, I'm glad that, because it is one of the best openings.
Yeah, and I never knew this, but they used that opening as the trailer.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was released 6 months before as well, which again was unheard of for a trailer to be released that far in advance. But that scene had been completed. That was one of the first. So they thought, right, this is so good. Let's use this as the trailer and get everyone excited, and it worked. So a different version of Hakuna Matata was recorded by Jimmy Cliff, along with Les Bohèmes. It was a reggae pop version of the song and was originally intended to appear on the soundtrack with Elton's version of Can You Feel the Love Tonight and Circle of Life and I Just Can't Wait to Be King. However, it was put on the sequel's soundtrack. And there was an extra song for Timon and Pumbaa.
Okay.
Yeah, written by Elton and storyboarded and recorded. And it's included in the Platinum album. So, Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Not really.
I can. So yeah, a few weeks before the film opened, Elton got a preview screening, and his song wasn't in it, and he was not happy. and he went to Katzenberg and had to lobby for it to be put in. Now, we've spoken about Katzenberg with songs before.
Yeah.
Because, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, it'll be now, he didn't want part of your world in Little Mermaid.
That's crazy.
I know. He said it was boring, and because of the test screening that he did with children and the fact that they were bored, he was going to cut it. And he was going to do the same to this, but thankfully Elton said...
It's not my favourite song.
But he won the Academy Award!
Not my
So
favourite.
it's like, if he hadn't... Because apparently that was the deal with Elton as well. So when Tim Rice asked him to come on board, he'd said to Disney, I'll do it as long as you let me write a ballad and you allow me to have the ballad on. Because obviously at the time, that was what he was writing, you know. And they said yes. Okay, you can have a ballad in there. And they were going to try and take it out. That Katzenberg, honestly, I'm so glad he leaves after this. Yeah, for its Platinum Edition DVD release, a new song was recorded and animated, The Morning Report.
Yep.
It was written for the Broadway musical by Elton and Tim, and then they wrote 2 other songs for the musical, Chowdown and The Madness of King Scar. We mentioned earlier about Tim Rice being involved with storyboarding. He would fly out at least once a month, and his lyrics, were reworked right up to the end of production. They were like pinned on the storyboards as well. The Broadway musical opened at the New Amsterdam Theatre on the 15th of October 1997 and has currently run, is currently run. It's way over 7,000 performances.
Is it the most performed?
That's what I heard.
The 4th, I think.
I mean, I know
Definitely one of the
Yeah.
longest.
I know you've not seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw it in like 1999 or 2000, something like that.
Oh, no, see, it's one of mine. It's just so impressive.
I have not seen it.
Have
You
you not?
have not seen
I
it.
will
That's
be
it. I knew someone
Honest and guilty. It is definitely on my bucket list to do. We just haven't got round to it yet.
But have you seen the little one in Disneyland Paris when you've been? Or
No,
not?
I don't think that was a thing when I was in
God,
Paris either.
Jess, I'm so
Do you know
surprised.
what?
I
The
know.
Lion King is going to blow your mind.
I know it will. It
really
absolutely will.
And yeah.
And my last one about the music, the soundtrack was the 4th most successful. The soundtrack was the most successful album of 1994. Fourth most successful album of 1994.
Because they thought this one was going to fail or not be as good. They thought Pocahontas was going to be the next best thing. They thought that The Little Mermaid was going to do worse than Oliver and Company. It's like, what?
I think the key thing is, which again they do mention it in that documentary that I watched after the film, is that what Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin and Lion King have in common, and the reason that all 4 are so popular and so successful, is that they are a musical.
Yeah.
That is the common element. Pocahontas,
No, not.
I do like Pocahontas, and obviously when we get to Pocahontas we will delve more into, but Pocahontas and this are so different.
Yeah.
And I get that they thought, because obviously as well, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin were all romance films, and they must have thought that
Well, yeah, that's what,
was
yeah.
the success not the music, that it was the fact that there were romance stories, and they thought, let's keep this streak going and go for one more, because Pocahontas isn't even a romantic story. The real story is horrible.
Do you know what I think? Having someone gay in the production,
Yeah.
especially the music.
Yeah,
Howard Ashman, Elton John.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what makes it successful.
Yeah.
So Disney, if you're listening,
Yeah.
get yourself a gay man. Get him to write you a few songs.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine.
Join us next week for part 2 of The Lion King. Oh, and remember and leave us a review. Hakuna Matata.